What's up, everyone? We're here live on location at the Blockchain Futurist Conference, and we just recorded an awesome interview with Dan Kim, who is the VP of Business Development and the Head of Listings. Ulf, what were your thoughts?
Oh, speaking with Dan was great. I mean, to be talking with someone from Coinbase, which is one of the biggest brands in all of crypto, and about their move into Canada. They're really expanding here. They've got a team of 200 now, and a bunch of different, mostly engineers too, which is really cool. And some of the things they're doing to sort of make Coinbase more accessible to Canadians was a big topic of the discussion. So it was awesome. It made a lot of sense at an event like this, a Canadian crypto conference, to dig into that sort of thing.
Yeah, this conversation covered a lot of ground. We also talked about Dan's own story getting into crypto, how it reflects to the future of gaming, and then also what it takes to get listed on Coinbase. As he is the head of listings, he is the guy to talk about that. We're sure you're gonna love this interview.
Show me the crypto. Show me the crypto. Show me the crypto.
In a world on the brink of disruption, two men will bring you clarity by interviewing some of the most intelligent and influential names in the blockchain world. Welcome to Show Me the Crypto with your hosts, Wade Patterson and Ulf Lonergan.
Well, hey everyone, welcome to a special live on location at the Blockchain Futurist Conference episode of Show Me the Crypto. We're here with Dan Kim, who is the VP of Business Development and the Head of Listings at Coinbase. Dan, thanks for sitting down with us and welcome to Show Me the Crypto.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to chat to you. I want to start off, you're from San Fran. How does the San Fran crypto scene compare to what we have here in Toronto, up north in Canada?
Look, I think the biggest similarity is just the excitement around crypto and really looking at it as a technology, as a platform that can really drive technological change. And I think I see a lot of that in Silicon Valley, see a lot of that here in Toronto and Canada. And I'm just energized by how much interest and investment and awareness there is of crypto being what it really is, which is really a way to, it's a technology, right? It's not specifically an NFT or a token. It's really a platform that can do a lot of cool stuff. So that was probably the most refreshing. I think the weather is a little bit easier in San Francisco. I can't complain now. It's beautiful here, but I've been here in the winter, so I'd say the biggest difference is it's a little bit easier to kind of get around San Francisco and the Bay Area when it gets colder. But a lot of similarities in terms of just the excitement and the energy and the interest.
Nice. Yeah, the winters, we're not from Toronto, but we know Canadian winters, and we know it can definitely get cold.
I love the
here.
disclaimer. We're not from Toronto.
No, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about your past in regards to some of the tech startups you worked at. Well, not startups anymore, but Airbnb, Tesla, and maybe even on the other side, just in regards to your business experience, probably all culminating to the role you have today. I know you also went on the consumer side, and you had a smoothie business for a number of years there. So I'd love to hear a bit of that story.
Yeah, my background is I started in my first job was investment banking, right? So I studied a lot of finance and derivatives when I was going to school, and kind of thought I would do that. And then that was when a lot of these .com companies came along. So I was like, you know what? I think I like building more so than financing or like kind of helping companies buy other companies. So I quickly got into just the .com technology era. Initially it was a company called Stamps.com. It was like this idea of like selling postage over the internet and having it printed back in the late 90s. Right? It's like, well, what a phenomenon. I just fell in love with that culture of like building and creating. So I did that, and from there just kind of worked at different startups, a lot of which were just founder-led ones. And then didn't really discover crypto until probably the Bitcoin white paper came out, which is kind of I just read it. I was like, oh, this is interesting, right? And, kind of look back at my interest in finance. Like, I see a lot of similarities here, and, kind of didn't really pay attention to it because I didn't really know what it was going to do beyond just kind of be there and be present, right? So I just kind of followed it. And then it wasn't until Roblox became a thing where I started to piece together the potential of crypto beyond being a financial instrument. I saw my daughter playing this game on Roblox that basically was doing things that an NFT would do in today's terms, right? And I just started thinking, wait a minute, if you can merge those two together, that'd be a very interesting phenomenon. And that's when kind of the NFT, summer kind of happened. And it just got me really interested in the space, and I found out Coinbase was going public, read the S1, so this is it, and jumped right in. And that's where kind of my whole career started in crypto, was when I found a vector for it to become real.
So given that you kind of had that aha moment with Roblox and your daughter playing that, did the NFT boom, like I think it surprised a few people in the space, did it not surprise you at all? And kind of where do you think the future of NFTs is going to go?
It did surprise me, right? Because I've been playing video games ever since I was a kid, and one of the biggest things is I wish I could sell this stuff. Like, so it's always an interest of mine. But what surprised me was kind of how it became more than what it really is. And what I mean by that is, an NFT is a non-fungible token, a unique token, but it kind of became this metaphor for digital art, right? So I was surprised by, number one, hey, people are aware of it, but I was kind of concerned that maybe they're not understanding it the way it needs to be understood. But kind of the takeaway from that is people are interested in this technology, what it can do. And that was kind of the first foray into like this being a thing that can really impact the way we live. And from there, I just met a lot of project teams. I lead a listings team at Coinbase. I get to meet a ton of really cool projects and get to learn the team and what they're doing. And that's where I just kind of went all in and decided to just devote really my life to making sure that crypto can become real and really make the world a better place.
So in regards to gaming and Web3, like I would love to touch on this just a little bit while we're sort of on that subject, because it's one of these things. I think it had a good bit of hype for a little bit. I feel like that kind of died down, but everybody's still kind of talking about maybe that's what's coming still in the future once the use case and the implementation and the technology catches up to what it needs to be to have mass adoption with gaming and Web3. What are your thoughts on how it's going to play out, maybe when that's going to take place, and what's it really going to take for that to sort of take off and have that effect where, your kids playing Roblox and now your skins are on chain?
Look, it's a great question, and I'm a big believer in gaming and anything in the social entertainment space as being a really inspiring way to onboard people into Web3, right? Because you talk about DeFi and farming and yield, and people kind of like, oh, it's finance stuff, right? They don't want to touch it. But when you start talking about games and social and oh, you need this to get this, right? If you don't have this, you can't listen to this. We're like, oh, that's interesting, right? So my thoughts are, I think it's going to ultimately transform the way gaming and social works. There's going to be a lot more transparency, authenticity, a lot more balance of supply and demand, a lot more fluidity. I do think that gaming so far, what we call Web3 gaming, was kind of done in a way that celebrated blockchain first, and then said, hey, what can we do within the confines of blockchain tech? Let's build games on top of that, which is why you see a lot of trading card games and kind of more 2D type games. But I think what that demonstrated was it can be done, right? But my point of view is, look, gaming's been around for a long time. There's a lot of great game engines out there, a lot of studios that have built a lot of cool stuff that's probably not going to go away. I think where it's going to get very interesting is once those developers start to use blockchain technology into doing things that are going to be better for their players. That's when it's going to become real, right? So it's going to really take the gaming industry and amplify it versus replace it, right? And that's what we're kind of really investing in, is the future of gaming and the role that Web3 tech can play in making that a lot more engaging for both players and studios.
I mentioned earlier, we're here at the Blockchain Futurist Conference. You're, in about an hour's time, moderating a panel. For those people who don't get the chance to catch it, what's that panel all about?
So it's called Crypto-Powered Customer Engagement and Loyalty. It goes back to my days when I was, I started a frozen yogurt and smoothie chain and franchised it, and just learned a lot about how people are when they actually enter a store and want something, and learn a lot about kind of the importance of in real life commerce. And that's what I'm going to be talking about is, how can we use the power of blockchain tech and Web3 tech to really transform the relationship that brands and companies have with their customers. And you might think, well, what are the problems to solve? And then if you look at it, there are a ton, especially in industries where the person or the company that makes the product has no idea who's using their product. Or maybe a musician or an artist who's selling tickets to a show who only knows what they bought, but don't know who attended the conference, right? So there's a lot of cool, like, why is that? Well, you know, the basis is I do think we have things in Web3 that can solve for that, right? And that's what we're going to be talking about with some partners from XMTP, the messaging platform that's powering our wallet messaging, and a few other folks that have been working on this problem, really focusing on the wallet as like the interface for anybody who wants to engage in Web3.
So, given your role, I would love to know a little bit about what it takes to go through the listing process to then get listed on Coinbase. I imagine it's quite a regimented process. You probably got to worry about concerns over securities and things like that. Can you touch a little bit on what that looks like?
So, because our interest is in really protecting customers, you know, you'll hear from anybody in the industry who's listed with us that we have the most rigorous listing process and asset review process in the industry. You know, a lot of people will say, you know, Coinbase is a gold standard for, you know, how they review tokens. But look, it breaks down into kind of three things for us, right? One is we call it the legal review. Number two is we call it the compliance review. And number three is we call it the blockchain security review. So on a legal review, you know, we don't list securities on Coinbase, right? So we make sure that every token that comes in is analyzed and reviewed, and you know, we do a lot of research to make sure that we don't list securities, right? So that's kind of one dimension. And there's a compliance side, meaning, hey, is a project a good project? Is it good for society? Is it good for people? Are the people behind the project good and doing it for a good reason, a good purpose? We want to make sure that there aren't any things that, you know, shouldn't be on our platform, right? So we look at that. And then there's blockchain security. Is a token itself secure? Is a smart contract, you know, audited and configured appropriately? Is it going to harm users or not, right? So we take a look at all that, and then we also take a look at, you know, like, why does the world need this specific token, right? What is the utility? What's the potential use case? What's the vision? And then we take a look at a number of other variables, which, you know, incorporate, you know, hey, is there other projects you want to, like, kind of, you know, get attached to because it's important to our company? And that all kind of factors into an ultimate listing decision of whether or not a token should be listed on our platform. So, look, we look at a lot. Only a few get considered for a potential listing, and of that, even a smaller percentage get listed on our platform. So yeah, that's really why it's so difficult. We do really prioritize customer safety as our priority, and we do think our listing standard is really a good representation of how we do that.
So that alone, like the listing side of it, seems like a massively heavy lift, the fact that you're the head of that, but then you're also VP of business development. So like, what does your day-to-day look like? Like, what is your specific job?
So when I started, a little over 2 years ago, you know, there were so many tokens coming on our platform. Maybe when I started, like 10 or so on our platform, like all the ones that you could imagine, Bitcoin, ETH, Litecoin, et cetera. And then we just got this onslaught of all these projects. And in the process of doing that, you're like, oh, this is cool. Like, I don't know they were doing this. I don't know they were doing that. I don't know that was possible, right? Yeah. New chains, new tokens, new standards, migrations. It was just really, really cool kind of seeing everything. And as I started to do that, like, you naturally just meet people who should meet other people. And then the whole importance of, like, this crypto ecosystem becomes real, right? Hey, who's going to be doing what? Who's working with whom? And that's really where the role of, like, business development kind of came in. It's like, hey, maybe this is not just about getting project teams and helping them get listed on our platform, but it's maybe helping them grow so that whatever it is that they're doing can help the broader, you know, can help people. You know, our mission is to really advance economic freedom, right, around the world, and we really are true to that mission in a lot of the decisions that we do make. And that's where the role kind of, you know, became real. It was like, hey, all these projects are coming online. They're really building real stuff. Let's start to kind of really develop an ecosystem through partnerships, through just people talking to each other. Take the panel that we're talking about today, like XMTP and Absolute Labs. You know, they're partners that we've been working with for a long time, and, you know, we're going to all get together and create something even better, even cooler, right? So that's my job, is to just help builders create the things, develop the tools that the world needs in order for what we call Web3 or blockchain tech to make an impact, a positive impact on everything that we do. right? Whether it's money transfer, video games, buying frozen yogurt, buying a cup of coffee, being able to listen to a song. I mean, these are all things that we haven't solved for yet. And I see my job as really a mission to accomplish just that, and not just to kind of go down a list of tokens you want listed.
Yeah. Nice. Well, we're in Canada right now for the Blockchain Futurist Conference here in Toronto, and Coinbase just recently announced a bigger move to get more situated here in Canada. My understanding is 200 or more positions have now been filled here in Canada, and beyond that, actual features for those who utilize Coinbase here in Canada have just been expanded with more integration with Interac. And I'm just hoping you can I only know the surface level, so can you maybe dive in a little deeper on what that means for Canadians?
We just being close to the U.S. obviously has a lot of, it helps in terms of creating this, perspective of, look, we're a global company, right? And we have offices all around the world, and I think it's important for crypto to have just that. But, I would say that Canada is a market that we're just really invested in. Over 200 Coinbase employees here, majority of whom are engineers. And I think I read a report recently about I think about 13% of those in Canada own crypto, and I think by the end of this year they expect about a third to own crypto. So if the trajectory is there, the companies and the investments that we're making, because we also have a venture team that has invested in about a dozen or so crypto companies here in Canada, including Dapper and Zapper. I just got to say that because they ran. So I think, and the universities here are producing really, really good programs. The regulatory environment is much more rational, and I think all the kind of stars are lining up for Canada to really be the global hotbed for innovation, crypto-powered innovation. And I'm not talking about like stuff no one's ever seen before that solve problems that we don't need to solve for. I'm talking about of all the problems we have in the world, crypto can solve a lot of them. Let's create the right ecosystem, the right economy, the right environment for us to do that, and that's one of the reasons we're excited about Toronto and Canada. It's all the stars are lined up, except for your weather in the wintertime, but other than that, it's perfect.
Yeah, good point. Dan, this has been an awesome conversation. We like to end every episode of Show Me the Crypto with the same 3 questions, so we'll get to those in a second, but first I want to ask you about some news that came about in early June. The SEC kind of like targeted Coinbase, and I know there's been some news out that this could be a good thing because there could add some clarity in the crypto world and whatnot. The question is, for you as someone and for others who are employees of Coinbase, like how does that impact you, or does that impact you at all in terms of like that happening, or what can you say about that situation?
It doesn't impact our commitment to the mission at all. In fact, it just makes us look at the importance of regulatory policy and framework and clarity for this technology to advance in the direction and the pace that we need it to head towards. One of the reasons I'm here, and one of the reasons I've been in many other parts of the world over the past couple of years is, there's ecosystems and countries and developer, communities that are a lot friendlier than what you might see in other kind of markets and countries where you don't have that kind of framework, right? So, I'm excited about bringing more developer awareness and builder communities here. A lot of the stuff that we do is really focused on the next generation of tech for, solve the problems that we need to solve, right? So, I'm going to continue to do that, and I think one of the things it's going to show is the importance, but also the power of regulatory clarity and frameworks that companies can reference, right? Yeah. And that's one thing I'm really excited about Coinbase being in Canada is, we're just ready to kind of take advantage of all the stars that have lined up and make this real for all Canadians.
Awesome. As I mentioned, 3 questions we ask every single guest. It's a little segment we call You Had Me at Crypto. Ulf's going to ask you those.
Had me at Crypto. You guys had Jerry Maguire fans, I would imagine. Tom Cruise.
We got the Tom Cruise thing going on. Yeah. All right, the first question is, who's your favorite person to follow in the crypto space?
Oh, wow. This is going to sound weird, but Brian Armstrong. And I say this because he, I used to work at Tesla, and one of the things that we used to get surprised and inspired by our what we called Elon tweets, right? And he would just tweet things, and it's well published if you kind of research this. And he'll like use that as a platform to kind of set a North Star, right? And it's like, we need to do this. Like, oh crap, we got to go do this now. Brian doesn't necessarily, have that kind of like I think it's a little bit different how he executes it, much more elegant, right? But he does. I love kind of seeing his brain say things on Twitter, and it's really refreshing to kind of see both sides of like how he communicates to employees and externally. And I gotta say, that's one of the reasons why I really enjoy his tweets. Doesn't necessarily reflect what we hear on a day-to-day basis, but just kind of mirrors his vision for crypto, and I love that.
Awesome. Second question. This is the big prediction. What will the price of Bitcoin be 10 years from now?
No financial advice.
I in my role list, it's like the worst question to ask for someone like me, right?
We're throwing 10 years out. Surely they could allow you to do a 10-year prediction.
Yeah, that's, you know what, look, I think if there's anybody who would answer that question and be right about it, let me know, because I'd love to.
We've had some crazy answers. We've had as low as 0. Today we had 50, and we also had 30 million today, so it's quite the range.
Wow.
But we can check back in 10 years and let you know who's right.
Let me know what the mean and medians are. So.
Yeah. Well, 1 million, I will say, is definitely the most popular answer. Yeah. Okay. Third and final question here. What's the most underrated project in the crypto space?
Wow. Let me answer that by saying that I would love to see people and developers focus on this, which is, a lot of what we do in this space is predicated on online interactions. I go to a website and I do stuff, right? I never really see people. We call it the metaverse. I would love to see people and developers kind of focus on the in real life part of things, and not just kind of getting people to a destination, but things like point of sale integrations, ticket scanning systems, right? People using data to enrich customer profiles. That's the whole topic of my panel is the whole in real life. I wish people would build more towards that, and not forget that people actually want to celebrate things in real life, and therefore there's an opportunity for crypto to really be impactful in real life engagements. Like this is in real life, right? Yeah, so I'd love to see more development around, really practical and tangible use cases.
Great answer. Well, we hadn't heard that one before, and the good news is we have heard somebody else. Other guests have answered Brian, so it's not a bad thing that you threw his name in there as well. Dan, you go ahead.
No, it's great. It's just a very, very fascinating person on Twitter to listen to, and even us at Coinbase employees, we learn a lot even from his tweets, right? And it's one thing that I encourage everyone to do is read his tweets.
Dan, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining Alf and I on this episode of Show Me the Crypto.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Show Me the Crypto. Please make sure to subscribe as well as rate and review this podcast.